You know, when you take your child to a speech professional, have you ever wondered what's really going on in their head? What are they looking for? It's actually way more than just the words your kid can say. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that developmental checklist for kids under 5. Let's get right into it. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the first look and listen, then get into the difference between expressive and receptive speech. We'll unpack what your child says, decode what they understand, talk about that amazing vocabulary explosion, and then wrap up with the milestones from that all-important first year.
All right, first up, the first look and listen. So before a professional even starts thinking about words, the assessment has already begun. It starts with just looking and listening. You can think of it like building a house. You got to check the foundation first, right? They're basically ruling out any physical stuff that could be getting in the way of speech development.
So, what does that actually look like? Well, a professional's going to do a quick visual scan. They're looking at your child's general health, sure, but also things like the symmetry of their face. They'll even check out their tongue. Then there's a basic hearing check. Nothing fancy, maybe just speaking really softly to see if your little one turns their head. But you know what's one of the most important first checks they do? It's all about eye contact. Okay, so why all the focus on eye contact? I mean, it seems so simple. Well, it's because it's one of our very first ways of communicating, even before words. If a child isn't making much eye contact, it can sometimes be an early flag for other conditions, like autism, which often goes hand in hand with speech delays. So yeah, it's a really key piece of the puzzle right from the get-go. Okay, so once those initial physical checks are out of the way, we get to the heart of it. The assessment really zeroes in on the two big channels of communication: what a child can say and what a child can understand. The easiest way to think about this is like a walkie-talkie. You've got two functions, right? Output and input. Expressive speech is the output. That's everything your child is broadcasting, all the words and sounds they make. Receptive speech, on the other hand, is the input. That's what they're hearing and actually understanding. And obviously, to know if the whole system is working, you've got to check both channels. So let's dive into the output side of things first, expressive speech. And here's a neat trick professionals use to remember what to look for. It's a simple mnemonic, S-C-O-P-E. Yeah, scope. Scope is just a great way to break it all down. The S stands for a few things: sentence, song, and story. Basically, can they string words together? Can they remember a little tune? Can they tell you what happened in a simple way? Then the C is for count and color. These are more cognitive skills, but they're shown through language. You know, can they count to 5? Can they name red and blue? All of these are solid, tangible signs of how their expressive skills are coming along. And here is an awesome little rule of thumb, one you can totally use at home. Generally speaking, the number of words a kid puts in a sentence, it pretty much matches their age. So, a 2-year-old, 2-word sentences, like more juice. A 3-year-old, 3-word sentences. It's a surprisingly accurate little shortcut for checking in on their expressive speech. And you can really see that progression play out here. At 2, it's all about identity, me, saying their own name. But by 3, their whole world is just expanding. They're naming colors, they're counting, they're singing songs. Fast forward to 4, and boom, they're becoming little storytellers, able to tell you what happened and even remember super important stuff like their address. All right, let's flip the switch on that walkie-talkie and talk about the other side, receptive speech. This is all about figuring out what's actually getting through. What does your child understand, even if they don't have the words to say it back yet? And guess what? That cool rule of numbers we just talked about, it works here too. So a 2-year-old can usually follow a 2-step command. Something like, get your shoes and bring them to me. A 3-year-old can handle 3 steps. It's another one of those super simple benchmarks, but this time for checking their understanding. And again, you can just see how their understanding builds layer by layer. It kicks off with simple pointing around 18 months. By 2, they're getting concepts like ownership, me, and mine, and they know what things are for. By 3, wow, they're getting into abstract ideas like big and small. But here's the most important thing to remember about all this. Comprehension almost always outpaces expression. They understand way more than they can actually say. Okay, now for what is honestly one of the most amazing parts of all of this, the vocabulary explosion. Seriously, it starts out as just a little trickle of words, and then it becomes an absolute flood. I mean, just look at these numbers. At 1-year-old, a child might have, what, 2 to 5 words. But just a year later, at age 2, they could have up to 200 words. That's a 40 times increase in their vocabulary in a single year. It is just one of the most insane periods of learning in a human's entire life. It's incredible.
But of course, all of that incredible growth doesn't come from nowhere. It's all built on a foundation that's carefully laid in that very first year of life. So let's rewind and take a look at how it all gets started.
So the whole journey begins with something as simple as a reflex, a baby startling at a loud noise. Then that becomes more intentional. Around 3 to 6 months, they'll actually turn their head toward a sound. By 9 months, you get that classic babbling, mama, dada, even though it doesn't mean anything yet. But the real magic, the switch that flips, happens around their first birthday. That's when they connect the sound to the person. And suddenly, dada isn't just a fun sound to make, it's a name. So you go from a simple startle all the way to telling a story. Every single one of those steps is its own amazing milestone. Look, understanding this roadmap isn't about getting stressed out over a checklist. It's really about appreciating the absolutely incredible communication journey your child is on. So now that you've seen how it all unfolds, I'm curious, what's the one milestone you'll be listening for next?